Hello everyone. We are from Group I, Section 31. We would like to present you how we proceed our experiment number 3, flow measurements in closed conduits. Let's begin with our objective. For the first objective is to study the techniques of flow measurements by means of the ventimeter, orific meter, and rotameter. We will understand how each device sends flow, pressure difference, or float position, the flow readings principle, and the assumptions behind that theoretical equation. This is important because each device responds differently to a Reynolds number, flow profiles, and installation effect. For the second objective, to calibrate these three meters. The calibrations mean comparing each meter's indicated flow with an independently measured through flow. We use the wait time method here. For the comparisons, we determine collection factors or a distance coefficient that convert a meter reading into the actual flow rate. For the third objective, to determine the head loss of the 3 meters and 2 pipe fitting, sudden expansions at 90 degrees standard elbow. The head loss quantifying energy dissipation due to flow contractions and fitting. Understanding head loss help in system design, pump sizings and energy budgets, and tell us which elements cause the most frictional loss at various flow rates. In this experiment, we study how to measure the flow rate of waters in a closed pipe using three different devices: the ventimeters, the orific meters, and the rotameters. So the main goal is to apply Bernoulli and continuity equations to understand how velocity and pressure are related, and then compare the theoretical discharge with the experimental discharge that we are measured in the lab. For the theory, the continuity equation tells us that for an incompressible fluid, the discharge of flow rate remains constant along the pipe. So when the cross-sectional area decreases, the velocity must increase. And the Bernoulli equations show that the total energy made up of pressure head, velocity head, and elevation head remain constant along a streamline if there are no losses. This means that when fluid's velocity is increased, pressure is decreased. These two equations form the basis for all three flow meters we use in this experiment. For the ventimeter, the ventimeter has a smooth converging section and a narrow throat and a diverging section. When water passes through the throat, velocity increases and the pressure is decreased. By measuring the pressure difference between the inlet and the throat, we calculate the theoretical discharge using Bernoulli and continuity equation. Because of frictional losses, the actual discharge is slightly less than. So we use the coefficients of discharge CD to correct it. For the orific meter, the orific meters also use pressure difference to determine flow, but it has a sharp edge plate with a small hole. The flow contracts suddenly when the passing through the orifice, creating a larger pressure drop and more energy loss compared to the ventimeter. Therefore, its coefficient of discharge is smaller. We again calculate CD by comparing the actuals and the theoretical discharge. For the rotameters worked on a completely different principle. It is variable area meters consists of a taper vertical tube with a flow inside. A flow increases, the flow rise until the upward drag and buoyant force balance its weight. The float height directly indicates the flow rate. In this lab, we calibrate the rotameters by comparing the float positions with the actual discharge found using the wait time method. For the CD or coefficients of discharge, it is very important in this lab. It represents how close our experiment results are to the theoretical predictions. So if the CD is close to 1, it means the device performs efficiently with the minimal losses. In our graph, we compare the experimental discharge against the theoretical discharge for both the venturi and orifice meters. The lines of base fits on the plot help us find CD and show how energy losses affect rail flow compared to the ideal case. For heat loss, in the real system, some energy is always lost as water flows through pipes and fittings. This is called head loss, and it occurs because of frictions and turbulence inside the pipe. So in this lab, we determine the head loss across each meter and also for two pipe fitting a sudden expansion and 90-degree elbows. Then we plot the head loss versus discharge. Here is the examples of the graph among 3 meters. As you can see, as both venturi meters and orifice meters, we have to plot to compare the experimental result with the theoretical results. And rotameters, we compare the elevation Z with the Q discharge from the actual experimental discharge. Then here is the head loss versus discharge graph. This is show how the each meters affect head loss, which one is the give us the highest loss and the lowest loss in the system. And here is all for a theory.
Next part is the experimental instrument. This one is piezometer system, and this one is piezometer diagram show the diameter of three devices. You can see that the three devices were connected together in this system. First is a venturi meter, second is the orifice meter, and third one is a rotameter. This one is the calibration instrument, weight hanger, and weight for the calculation of the discharge.
Record the pipe diameter of orifice and venturi meter. Adjust the valve to control the discharge in range between 10 to 20 cm in rotameter by observe the bob inside rotameter. Observe the water level in each pipe line. Pipe A, B, and C is for venturi meter. Pipe D, F, and G is for orifice meter, and pipe H and I for rotameter. To measure the discharge, by pull the handle down and waiting until the rod touch the arms and pull the 2.5 kg weight. Then immediately start the timer and record the time. Repeat rate T times and average it.
With the data we collect, we can find Q of venturi meter and orifice meter through this equation. For Q of rotameter and actual Q, we can find by volume divided by time. Then we use the data we got to plot the relationship graph in venturi meter and orifice meter. CD is Q actual divided by Q of the experiment.